Welcome, city builders. I'm Canadian Moose, and this is Winter in the Rockies, another small town series set in the Alberta Rockies for the month of December. Let's take the train to Inspiration Station to discuss the plans for this new project. The plan for this series is to build out a small, moderately detailed town similar to Lake Louise, Banff, and Canmore. Growing up in Kamloops, I have driven this road to Calgary many times and visited most of the small towns here. This town will be nestled alongside the Trans-Canada Highway between Revelstoke and Banff, but on the Alberta side of the provincial border. It will have a beautiful historic main street similar to Canmore's and feature a smaller ski resort similar to those found around Banff. I would also like to try my hand at recreating these stunning nature overpasses, and of course, we can't forget about some good old pond hockey.
You're dead.
You're dead.
No, I'm gonna kill you.
I'm gonna kill you.
I'm serious. I'll kill you, Shorzy.
All right, first shift we kill each other.
As we wrap up our time at Inspiration Station, I want to leave you all with a question. What should we name this city? Let me know in the comments below, and I will look for names that have some sort of historical importance to the region or ties with the greater city of Calgary. Now, let's hop into the map showcase. So welcome everybody to the city of Moose Peaks, and I am really excited for this one to show it to all of you, but I wanted to take some time before we hop into the time lapse for today's build to show off the map here. So this is the map that we're using, as you see in here, and I've gone ahead and edited it because it seemed kind of like the perfect Rocky Mountain sort of map for this. I wanted to do a small town that's just surrounded by the hills, but also some spaces where we could potentially do a small little ski resort, some small little slopes, and this map was perfect. I looked at it and was like, this is it. This is what I've been looking for, and it came with a really cool starting intersection that we've modified a bit here to make it suit what we're going for a little bit better, and I've changed up the rail connections a bit as well too to give you a really cool starting area here, and then of course turned it to winter, so ignore what it says down in the bottom here. We're just going to disregard that and pretend that it's always December here in this build that we're doing for the next 3 weeks. But yeah, that's the as you would have heard in the inspiration station there, the inspiration for this comes from the Rocky Mountains near Alberta and the trips that I've taken through to Calgary. And so I wanted the map to reflect this as well. So you've got the Trans-Canada Highway here with the classic Bow River Bridge. And I'm sure I'll be corrected if the river maybe doesn't make sense to be the Bow River. The city sits between Revelstoke and Canmore in that big stretch. And I want to say on the Alberta side because I really want this to be a build existing in Alberta. So I hope that it's correct that this is the Bow River, and we've got it flowing, as you can see here, if I can get the light right. So we've got it flowing this way. So on our map here, if we're looking at this way, it flows to the left, meaning that Calgary would be off in the distance there, and this would be Revelstoke somewhere over there. So I went ahead and made the outside connections reflect that as well too. See there, you've got the Revelstoke, and then on the other side, it's a bit hard to see because this map had a lot of tunnels. So I would have liked, if I had more time with this, if I'd given myself more time, I would have changed up the way that the rail goes and maybe made some of these areas flatter, less windy, less curvy, but it does the job. It's just that most of these end up being outside connections here. So you can't actually see them unless I go like this, and then there you can see one of them, and that will reflect Canmore, which would be off in the distance here as we get out of the Rockies. So I think that's a really cool touch. And then I wanted to do something special with this being an Alberta build, or a build based in Alberta, and especially something that's near and dear to my heart with Calgary. So this bridge is named Matthews Bridge. And of course, we've got Johnny's Bridge over here, or Matthew and Johnny Goudreau, two incredible hockey players that were gone far too soon, and of course attached to the Trans-Canada Highway there. So I think that's just a really cool, I don't know, it's a nice little touch that is something that I really wanted to include in this build if we're going to do something based in Alberta. Here we've got the Riverfront Bridge. That's just a name borrowed from an area near Calgary, and then the Trans-Canada Highway continuing there all the way through. And I think, did we do any other fun? Like this will be, yeah, so we'll call this the Bow River. So this will be the Bow River Bridge. And then here you'll have the Chinook Bridge. Now, this is just like an edited map, so I edited where the rail comes through and make it suit more of like a grid-style classic small town here with the road that comes in and the rail, the way that it comes through. So I did some minor edits and then, of course, renaming a bunch of stuff here, changing all the trees to the spruce tree because I think that really reflects it. If anybody wants this map, so this would be your starting tile. So you would start here with your main street and rail connection. If anybody wants this or to play with this, yeah, let me know in the comments below, and I'll definitely see if I can upload this. I guess maybe just like as a save game, and this will be your starting tile. I don't know map making, but yeah, just made some changes to make this kind of suit like a Rocky Mountains Canadian build based in Alberta. So let's hop into the time lapse. So welcome to the time lapse, everybody, and we're going to kickstart this with the train station. So I went with this one that's from the Detailers patch number 1, and it kind of seemed like the perfect addition because it has that like old, I don't know, I want to call it like a shack, like shack building, and it looks perfect, looks awesome in the snow there too, really suits the vibe that we're going for here. After placing the tracks to connect to the station, we're going to use manipulation mode and move it to stretch the node out there. And the reason why I'm doing this is the cargo train that's about to approach this station is going to switch at these tracks. I don't know why they do it. All cargo trains do it anytime there's a station track node. And there it goes. Look at that. That is awful. I don't know why it doesn't just go straight, but, you know, it is what it is. So that's why we stretch it out, make it a little bit smooth so it looks less jank there. Now I'm going to drag out the road for the main building here, and I'm going to experiment a bit too once I've got all the roads laid out there with the new roads that came out in the latest Detailers patch, which I think was a phenomenal patch. I know I've seen a lot of discourse around people having access to a lot of the stuff that it does, like the parking lot roads using Road Builder mod, but like, you think about the vanilla players, like this is sick, man. It's really cool. It's a W patch, and that new parking garage asset, oh my god, that's going in Port Moose. You already know that's going in a Port Moose without a doubt. So I was messing around with the roads, looking at them and trying to see which one I think would suit it the best. I really like the one-way options that we have here. So I end up going with one of those that looks really clean in front of the train station there. Like that looks really nice there for, was that Autumn Street? Nice, okay. So now we're going to drag out the roads, connect up the rest of the layout there, but we need power. And we need water and sewage for our citizens before we can move anybody in. So let's figure out power. And I think the transformer station asset looks really good here, especially if we move it over beside the train tracks there. That just suits the vibe, looks really good coming to the city there. Now, at some point, I want to use big power lines. For now, I'm going to stick with the underground power lines outside of the city until I figure out where I want to sit those big power lines, because I think those, like, going through a bit of a forest and like we cleared the forest out of the way for it would look really good in the snow here as well. So I'll have to look on Google Maps and see if I can find some inspiration for that as well. Now that the power's connected, we've also turned on import services. We're going to connect the water and sewage into the outside tile as well so we can import those. So here's the layout now. I apologize. That's the layout. Pause the video if you want to check it out. I slowed down the footage there a bit so that y'all can take it in. This is going to be our starting grid layout for the city. Why you're not seeing it be built, I thought I hit record. I thought I hit record, and, well, unfortunately not. I went to cut the footage. I was like, okay, cool, this is good. We'll trim this up. And there was no footage to cut, so that's awesome. Love that for me. That's great. But there's the layout. You can pause it and check it out if you want to see what we went with there. Super simple. It's just another classic grid city up in the mountains there. With a little bit more curves, though. Experiment, not just a huge, massive grid, and kind of experiment with some stuff. Place a fire hall there because I love it. It's my favorite asset. Or one of my I love all the assets. But it's one of my favorite assets there, and it looks so good as an entryway into the city. Let's continue connecting up the roads here as well. And I need to go through at some point and, see, I don't know. I struggle with the street parking. I like turning it off because the cars just parked on the side of the road always looks a bit weird to me. I don't know. There's just something about it where I prefer it when they're not parking in the street unless it's in a proper marked stall. Anyways, we added an addition to the fire hall there, and now we're adding the high school. We won't get around to the high school in this episode, just placing it so I have an idea of where I would want it to sit. And then I thought about adding the attachment there, but it looked a little bit too big. I think we could do a custom one that'll look much better. This building from the latest Detailers patch, oh man, this taxi depot asset is so sick. So cool. I'm going to be using this all over the place. But yeah, we're going to set this on our main street because why not? And since it's on the side of the road that... Oh! Little error message there. Nice. Fun fact, this footage was recorded on patch day and all my mods were freaking out and it was a hell of a time. Anyways, we got the taxi depot in there, and I've noticed as well too the vehicles are now parked, and I believe they're waiting for service, so they'll park there. I don't know if it's just like purely a prop or not, but it looks really cool. I love that. Another addition from that Detailers patch. Massive W, that whole patch around. And these UK, wow. You know, UK, eh? These UK town center assets are so good. Perfect for a main street here. Like, the two of them together, especially with that big one. Sure, maybe I'd love a little bit more variety, but like... Dude, that's so sick. They look so good. And then you gotta slap the little pub there. And the timber style of it as well, too, really suits the aesthetic that I've seen from cities like Canmore and Banff. So I think that's really cool, and I need to use a little bit more. I honestly think that the UK assets are going to work really well for this build and be utilized quite a bit. Tiny parks. I can't stop talking about this patch, man. This patch is such a massive W. These tiny little parks that we can use to, like, insta-detail an area. So cool. Anything that saves time. Like, I love detailing. I love detailing. But anything like this that can save us time in the detailing, sign me up. And then they added these gravel parking lots. You know I've got to add one of those, and we're going to flip it around and use it on this side instead so that they enter from what will be the alleyway road there. And now that we've got the alleyway connected, I want to make a building that sort of matches the length as the other one there. So I destroyed the one that was there, pickered this one so that they had the same back sort of like alleyway entrances there. I don't know, just having them at the same length to me seemed to make a lot more sense. And then we're going to add in a couple pre-built parking lots here. Now, all the stuff I'm doing is going to, like, so I was placing this stuff down and just placing, like, the pre-built assets because at the time of recording this, again, it was launch day, and I didn't have access to my mods. Most of the stuff was broken. It wasn't until 3 p.m. that day that I actually got the stuff, so I ended up experimenting with a lot of just vanilla stuff. I had no mods at this time. I had no decals, no domes, parking lots, like nothing. It was, other than, like, the move at the anarchy, like, the simple ones, so... A lot of this was experimenting with the vanilla stuff, and I was blown away, and we ended up keeping all of it that we placed. Again, the stuff that we have in vanilla is really cool. And these tiny parks, man, like, look at that, coming in with a little outside covered area there for the Heath pub here. Like, what? Like, that's so cool. Place it, and it's done. That saves so much time. Such a W. Now, we're going to place the Morrisseys here, which can double as, like, I don't know. Would it be a Safeway or a Save-On? I don't know what the go-to is in Alberta there. I don't know, Albertans, what's your go-to grocery store? But fun fact, we're not going to keep that. We're going to use that in this build for sure, just not at that location. I just didn't, like, looking back at this footage now, it doesn't look terrible, but we can find a better spot for that. We've got some gas stations here now that I imagine, like, as you're coming in, because this road here, Spruce Street, connects directly to the Trans-Canada Highway, you're going to have your mega truck stop gas station and maybe your, like, smaller little Petro can on the corner there, which, oh, man, I wish we could have those assets there. Would love to get a little Petro Canada in there on the corner. Would look so good. Let's get some power lines in the alleyway, because when you drag these power lines through and place them in your alleyway, I mean, not only can you make them functional, so they're functional power lines, but aesthetically, they make alleyways just feel so much more realistic, because this is the spot where you typically find these power lines in Canadian cities, and I'd mention like North American cities as well too. It's just always in the alleyways. It's very familiar, and it just, I don't know, to me, the second that you see those, especially like if you add power lines to your suburbs as well, it really adds to the realism there. So I'm gonna mess with the height, and let's get these power lines connected into the alleyway here. Now that the power lines have been connected, we're going to choose a little home to fill in this tiny little space here, because it just seemed like there would be something here, like maybe a home. So I messed with a small one that's small enough where I can make a little bit of space, and we actually have room to move the parking lots over a bit in the back area there. But look at that building. Like, how good does that look there? It fits perfectly. These UK assets, man, like, I think the majority of this build is just going to be UK assets because they are just perfect for the look that I'm going for. So we moved that parking lot over a bit there, and you can see it looks really nice there. Let's get rid of some of the signage that's a bit repetitive. And yeah, I mean, honestly, that works so well. It looks so good. That house as it is, that's a straight up North American house there, I'll tell you that. So now it's time to do some decals. Obviously now is the time, so as you can see me there messing with it when I placed that home. This is the point at which it was past 3 p.m. and all the mods have been updated. Everything was working again. So we were back at it with all the decals. So we're going to use the stuff that we placed through vanilla in combination with our decals to make this whole city and this main street really look beautiful here. Got the free Wi-Fi sign. I've also got a bunch of these tabs that you see that don't have like a cover image on it. Huge shout out to Red Kool-Aid who sent me a pack of decals that they use for their series. So Kool-Aid came in with this like huge gift box full of decals that they had used for their own series that we can now use, which is really, really cool. So just little things like that to make the shop fronts come to life. And then we're going to do the classic move here, concrete barrier, set the color to yellow, reduce height to minus 0.7. Sink those in as little parking bumpers for your parking spots there. It just adds such a nice touch. You can angle them a bit here because I've seen, like, they seem chaotic, man. Like, I don't know if it's people, because they probably weren't, they were placed straight, right? So, like, I don't know if it was probably, did a car smash into it? Like, how do those things get moved, you know? I've always been curious about that. And we're going to place some decals down here. As you can see, right, so we use the vanilla asset, but then we want to make this look a little bit more realistic, right? So we're going to come in and cover up basically beautify the vanilla assets that we have, right? And so this is my go-to decal here. Texture 94 roadside. As my roadside texture for all alleyways. It's too good, man. It just works so dang well. And it has this nice little like trim to it. It also doesn't feel too repetitive. I don't know, there's something about it where like other decals just seem, you look at them and you're just like, damn, that's a little bit too repetitive for me. But this one doesn't seem to be that way, or I haven't noticed it being like too repetitive that it's like to the eye looks unrealistic, right? Like, I mean, look at that. It looks so good, so clean. Get rid of the crosswalks there on both sides of it. Now we're going to come in with a fence for the police station because you'd, I don't know, to me it would make sense that this whole area would be like protected and under security surveillance. Well, probably, I don't know, like maybe by themselves. Like, are they their own security, maybe? And then I wanted to add some trim here to the taxi depot where this empty lot is that's used for parking along the main street. And I found this awesome decal that has like a yellow trim and a little bit of a concrete texture to it that just looks so good there. We're going to line that up, and it just adds to the realistic aesthetic. Man, those decals, it's a shame that they're not on Paradox mods. But I do have a video if anybody's curious about how to get these decals. We have a video like 3 or 4 videos ago that goes over how to do it. I placed this decal and I don't know. At first, I was like, damn, I don't know if that's the one I want because I don't know if it really fit the area, but the more I've looked at it, nah, it's perfect. It works really, really well. So now we're going to come in with a fence here. And spam. Go. Get all the pieces in. And we're going to do a custom. Now, this is inspired by the OG Cities 1 Ronix Broken Fence, a phenomenal asset that we obviously don't have because we don't have assets. And I wanted to do something that like is kind of like an old fence that's been here forever. It's worn down, you know, there's some pieces that they're maybe missing and damaged, and that's what we're using here with this miniature PO that's like, this is like some straight up Planet Coaster 2 vibes, eh? Like that little tool. The way we're using it, and what we have, that's straight out of Planet Coaster 2 to me, it feels like. So we're going to have that piece be knocked over, but we want this piece to also be kind of like sunken in and worn, and I don't know, just making it look as best as I can as an homage. This is the Ronix fence, if you will. So anytime you see this in the city, just think of Ronix and man, how blessed we were to have them for Cities 1 and the good times. We're going to angle that one in just a little bit, and it really adds to the realism here and just makes it look so good. So let's touch up the extra pieces here of the fence. Now let's go ahead and add some graffiti, and we got to get this beautiful moose graffiti in there. That one's so good. Get a little bit of J there as well, and then cover up with some of these other pieces. Man, I would love to see, I forget who made this. Was it Dome or was it Broman? One of the two made it. I would love to see more added to this pack. This pack is sick, man. This pack is so cool. It has a ton of stuff that's like, yeah, damn, it's really good. Like, yeah, it's just got that look, that aesthetic that I really like it. But we need a little bit more on the corner, so I think it's time to add one of the Canadian Moose ones that we got from Booty Addict, another phenomenal creator who we shouted out on the last video, the last Port Moose one. Because look at that. Like, how sick is this? I don't know how they're making these. It's so fire, though. Whatever they're doing or whatever program they're using, like, I don't know how they're creating them, man, but they're so sick. That's so tight. That looks awesome. And then, of course, we got to come in and make this area look a little bit more, grimy. Like, the decals do good work. That pavement surface is a good work, but we need trash. We got to cover this area in trash here. And I use a little bit of a mixture. I've got two sets of trash decals there, one from G87 and another one from a creator who I'm forgetting their name of. And I just bounce between the two of them. They're both phenomenal assets there. So now let's get the brick aesthetic of the main street done, because it just doesn't feel... I don't know. It's like, I don't know how common it is in the Albertan small towns to have like this kind of brick be on your main street. But it just kind of felt like if we're doing a small, a small town with a historic main street up in the Rocky Mountains, like, I don't know. To me, it just had to have a brick texture to like at least one street. We're not going to do this all over the place. It's just for like the one block here. It kind of just like had to have this texture. It really completes the look. I don't know. To me, it's enough where I'm like, yeah, this is awesome. Like, we got to stick with this for sure. And these surfaces make it so easy, because this would have been all decals in Cities 1. And it might seem tedious, like on the footage here, but like the amount of time that this saves now, it's crazy. Like, it honestly, it's tedious as it might seem. It's not tedious. It saves so much time, and this tool is really heckin' useful here. And look at how good that is now with all those surfaces in there. Damn, that looks awesome. We just got to touch up the edges there, but that is looking so good. Huge shout out to G87 for those surfaces. They are so useful. And you can use this to blend in a bunch of stuff. Like, a lot of the buildings come with surfaces, so you can just use your own instead here if you want to. I honestly don't mind the vanilla surfaces that we got. So some of the fences, I believe it's a collision issue with the parking lot behind it, but some of the fences from this building vanish. And this happens quite a bit with assets, and I'm starting to learn that it's related to a collision feature. Pretty annoying feature, if I'm gonna be honest. I don't like that feature. I miss Cities 1 when things we placed or things on buildings wouldn't just vanish, so kind of mid feature. Colossal Order, not gonna lie, kind of mid. Kind of hate it. But it is what it is. We place our own fence there anyways and get that in there, and then we're gonna come in here on the side and just cover it in a little bit of foliage. Didn't want to go too crazy with it, but dude, oh man, this is looking so sick. So that home there, and one thing that I forgot to mention as well. So you'll notice that, like, okay, so yeah, it's -30 in winter. Ignore the fact that it's July. It's actually December. Game's broken, crazy, right? But at the end, I believe in the time lapse it'll show up. I use a feature on Tree Controller mod that allows you to change the certain like leafy trees, deciduous trees, into the dead model, and it just adds to the overall winter effect that we're going for here. Which also, man, I'm really excited. This feels like I don't know, I was trying to get back to like my Cities 1 roots through City Skylines 2, and I miss the fact that you could do like, because we've got seasons now, which it's awesome, it is cool, but I do miss the fact that you could do like feature builds, like Prez doing New Windsor just fully in autumn, you know what I mean? Or again, Prez doing winter in the Midwest, right? I kind of miss that that gimmick, you know what I mean? That shtick, that thing that you could do, that theme, you know what I mean? So this is gonna be our first attempt at a fully themed build where it's permanently winter. Like we'll control it. We'll just have to ignore the fact that it says July in the bottom. We'll make it our own winter. But yeah, I hope you guys are excited for that. That's like a permanently themed winter build here. And I'm gonna try my best. You'll see some features that I use throughout this episode of ways that we can make this really feel like a winterized build or a winterized city. So let's add in some street trees here to this side as well. And I think I go with the, is that the London plane? Either the London plane or the linden tree. I think it's the linden is my absolute favorite. Huge, massive shout out to Rafterman NZ. Rafterman NZ is doing really cool small town builds, sharing it on Reddit, and started posting videos on YouTube as well. And that's where I got this idea because we lack churches. And yes, I know the UK pack came with a super cool church. We'll probably place that in this series. Like it's almost a guarantee that we'll place at some point. But I wanted to do a cool sort of like suburban church here. Something that was like, I don't know, I say suburban, we're not really in the suburbs, but like, you know what I mean? Like this suburban aesthetic church that's not like crazy that you would totally see near a main street like this. And this whole idea of merging these two assets is perfect. So that's all credits to Raptorman, who shared. Me and Raptorman talk all the time, and we had been sharing photos back and forth of our builds. They also posted it to Reddit, and I was like, "Damn, that's it! I need that for the build. This is what this is sick. What a brilliant idea!" So this is officially the Church of Rafterman NZ. So you can go there to become educated on the religion of the Rafterman, and I guess by part of it New Zealand as well. But let's go ahead and detail this up. So we want to do a little asphalt road front. Again, the ideas for this, like the whole aesthetic and ideas, come directly from Rafterman here for it. So let's get a little asphalt entrance here, and this would be for, not really for parking, we'll have parking in the back, but this would be more so for the I guess it would be for the hearses and staff, right, if they're doing like a funeral procession or anything like that, or even a wedding. I guess I go instantly to death, but it could very much so be for a wedding as well, you know. But yeah, so we're going to come in here with the surfaces that come in super clutch again, and then I wanted to create sort of a round turning here, because doing it like super straight like this gave me Project Zomboid vibes, where I was like, okay, it's cool, it's realistic-ish, but like there's curves, you know what I mean? Like that's the thing with with Project Zomboid, is like everything's so square. There's no like curves, no nothing, you know what I mean? So if you're ripping around in a car there, you can get into an accident hella easily because everything is just like sharp angles. So I was like, okay, well let's go a little bit less, you know, Project Zomboid here with this, and let's try and add some curves to it. So it was at this point that I realized the, so I'm going to pull the surface back a bit, but I realized that it's not flat. And I don't know what's going on with the heights here, because I selected everything and brought it all to the same height, and yet it still wasn't flat. So I was trying to figure out like what was going on there with it. And at some point I'm going to hop in and use terrain leveling, which is basically like, what was the name of them? Anyways, terrain networks or something like that in Cities 1. But somebody over on Sully's Discord created assets for it, which is so heckin' cool that we can have like terrain leveling now. Like the detailing is really getting to. We have no asset editor, and people out here are just like, yeah, well, we need these things and we can't wait for you, Colossal Order, so we're just going to do it ourselves, which is so insanely cool. Coming in with some yellow trim there. I don't know if it would have yellow trim all over the thing, but it to me, like it kind of, I don't know, like it looks good. I like it. Looks nice. But yeah, so here's where I realized that like something's wonky with the terrain. No matter how many times I brought everything to the same height, it just still wouldn't go to the same height. So that's where these terrain leveling options come in, and they're so useful. I don't know how they created it, like what they're using to make it, but then you'll see me come in there and it's all flat and looks really, really clean. Also, yes, the yellow line, we will clean up the yellow line. I know it's super messy on the right side of it. If a keen viewer has spotted how horrible my line markings are there, yeah, we'll clean that up. Do not panic. And then I decide on a color for a fence here, and man, there were so many options for the fences. Arguably, looking at it now, I maybe should have gone with like the UK brick fence. I don't know. This felt like more, gave me suburban vibes. And the snow is flowing now. Look at this. We are fully in a winter. It is snowing like that, and this is just part of like, I don't know. I think it's really cool that we're doing sort of like a themed build here, and I hope y'all are excited for that as well too. It's kind of like the first, I I don't know, my first attempt at really doing, you know, a theme build like we had in Cities 1. And I don't know that I've seen other people do entirely like season-based themed builds. I'd love to do an autumn one at some point, like a East Coast autumn project inspired by New Windsor. So let's go ahead and get this church detailed up. So I went with this kind of, I want to say red, but maybe like orangey brown brick texture there for the front of the church. And then I decided to put that all over. I think it looks really good. It suits the, like, I don't know, it's hard to place, like, this is an older church, but like, how old is it? You know, it's definitely had some restorations done to it. This whole build, man, this just feels so perfect for this area and just like suits the aesthetic and the style. So I went, yeah, so with this brick style, I don't know, I just feel like it kind of matches. I know it's not the same color. Well, I don't know that it necessarily would need to be the same color as like the gray brick, but it looks really good for the area. Like, just kind of, I don't know, to me it fits. Like, I like it. And now you can see me finally fixing up these lines, dude. These lines were atrocious when I just placed it down. I mean, the whole point was to like fix them later on, not to do them right away, but they looked in pretty rough shape, and I just left it, knowing I'd come back to it eventually, or I'd just ADHD brain it and completely forget, you know, so it is what it is. So I'm going to come in with that yellow trim here at the end of this parking lot road. And I don't know, again, I don't know if I'm going overboard with like the yellow trim in this area or around it, but it just seems like something. So I know it's really common in like Calgary and cities that have a lot of snow is that they'll use a lot more yellow markings around things because it's, you know, obviously much more visible in the snow. I don't know how realistic it is at the end of that road like that, but it looked good to me and it kind of fit the vibe. So yeah, if aesthetically it looks good or feels like something that could exist, there's a good chance that it probably does exist in one of the many cities around the world. Now it's time to detail out the streets, and we're going to be using a lot of solid decals here, so we start with a couple of the street tire markings there. But another thing I love to do is using these road cover, like these old patches by G87, and using those to cover things that wouldn't, like you can spam them all over the road and put them really wherever you want. But for me, I like to spam them around stuff or like put them as covers on things that maybe don't make sense to be on the road, like certain arrow markings you just wouldn't see in places. The cool thing about that is it gives me a natural random spot to place them that is staggered enough and not frequent enough that it doesn't look unrealistic. Whereas sometimes if I'm just like spamming them myself, it can kind of just look unrealistic despite the fact that I'm trying to make it look realistic. And so that just gives me a nice little spot where you can place them and use them to look, I don't know, add realistic realism, you know, to your city. Now it's time to cover up the roads with these stain decals, which is the next layer of this recipe, right? So you go with road patches, tire markings, and stains. You'll have yourself some beautifully realistic roads. Now, I also figured I'd add these little grass patches because you'll see like these little spots where the snow maybe has melted away or not gotten to underneath the trees. It still works, so these trees are eventually going to become dead models here in the, so the like winter trees essentially, pretty soon here. And I think it still works. The decals that we placed, I don't know. Maybe I should get rid of them when they're like the dead, because it makes sense with like the leaves. Obviously, it's harder for them to get under there. So maybe more common under like pine trees and whatnot. And then I saw this decal, and I've been wanting to use it for like an empty lot, like almost like a field of sorts. And I placed it here, but looking at it, that's a pretty big lot, and I don't know if it feels. I don't know if they should be there. We're gonna come in with some street trees. Planters. Coming in with some planters. And we're going with the birch tree, one of my favorite trees on a main street area to place. It just looks beautiful. It's got a great height, doesn't take away from the street at all. Sometimes you can go with too big of a tree and it ends up looking unrealistic there. In this case, it worked out really well. We're going back to the road patches again to just cover up arrows. And yeah, it's just a great way to add some realism. I used to use the surfaces like we did in Port Moose to make it look really grimy, and it just felt unrealistic there. Whereas using these decals, it just made it look, I don't know, to me it ended up looking a lot better just doing a few road patches here and there instead of like a whole area being this greasy, dirty aesthetic. It just looks a lot better. Using some node controller there, a little mini node controller, by the way. It's with Move It. I've said mini node controller before and people freak out, being like, damn, node controllers in the game. No, just a mini node controller from the Legend Cuboid in Move It. And after using that, we got to clean up the brick surface here. The next thing I wanted to add was a motel near the city entrance by the main street. These are something that are very common through cities like Banff and especially like Lake Louise and Canmore. You'll find multiple hotels, usually either like right on the main street or at least very close to it. So I wanted something. Now this one's like kind of big with the big parking lot in the front, but again, this is common to like things that I've seen. I've spent a fair bit of time in Banff. And this is pretty common to what you'd see. I don't know, to me, it fit the vibe and wasn't an insane, like, parking lot. It looked pretty clean there for what I wanted to do. Now we're going to come in with the intersection tire creations that Sully has. And these are so useful for, again, just, like, super quick detailing to add that realism without taking a ton of time by hand placing all that stuff. So I'm adding them to any intersection that sort of makes sense there. And now we've got a resident here. Now, give me a name. Come up with some lore if you want. Who is this guy? What's this guy's story? What's this person's story? And why are the police, the old RCMP, up to no good here, harassing our poor innocent, well, we don't have I can't call him like a Calgarian. We don't have a name for the city yet, but what's going on there, you know? Got rid of those grass surfaces, and now it's time to stain up the parking lot. Look at this awesome moose decal. Isn't that sick? And so I figured, okay, let's slap a moose on the back there. Let's create sort of a creator's row of graffiti, if you will, using a bunch of the ones here and then a ton from Booty Addict as well. And so I wanted to have like this sort of spot where, I mean, it fits the style, like the side of this brick building, this taxi depot would be covered in graffiti, but I wanted it to be like all names of different creators out there, you know, like, and so I went through and added a whole ton of creators to what we will aptly name this little side street off of Main Street here as Creators Row. look at that. That looks so good. Really, really pleased with how this has been turning out. And like some of these decals, like that sunny one there, man. Dude, these are so cool. The 221. Booty Addict is crushing, and like that little moose on the side there is so cool. I honestly think you could use some of these for like a hipster little Main Street brewery or something called the Moose or something like that. I think there's actually one in Montreal that's called it's just called the Moose, you know, which is just a lot of fun to do. So now it's back to these UK buildings, and we're gonna spam a lot of these because it's common for main streets like this to have sort of the same style of building over and over again. It doesn't like, I don't know, ruin the vibe. Like it's fairly realistic that you'd see along Main Street corridors here. The one thing I need to see if I can find more of is like timbered structures, because it gives you that kind of alpine vibe that you would see, especially, you know, around the Banff region and throughout the Rockies, right? Because it's all, you know, very alpine-esque there. So I dragged those over, but I noticed that did not give a lot of sidewalk space there. My God. So we pushed those back a little bit. And then I'm going to try something out here, which is taking the same brick texture we had used for the sidewalks and applying it to the crosswalk now as sort of like a brick crossing that you would see in these sort of smaller main streets. And honestly, I think it works. Maybe I should add like a white line to the side to like, you know, mark, I guess, or like denote where the crossing is. But yeah, I think it looks really good. And that brick, man, looks so sick there. But here it is, the creme de la creme, as they say, asset that I was able to find to use for this build to sell the snowfall aesthetic. These are these are snow piles. These are ore piles that get covered in snow because it's winter and snowing, which is awesome. And I can sink them in, and they look so good for like literally just snow piles all over. It is so good. So excited to find this, and it's like little things like this that I can add to the build to really sell that. Like we're in a winter themed build. This is it. It's permanently winter in this series. We're doing a winter themed series, you know, for the month of December here, and dude, I'm stoked on that. That pile came in so heckin' clutch. Like as we place it around here, look at the realism that adds to it. So again, I believe that's just called the ore surface there. And yeah, it takes on the snow effect, which is awesome. So it like looks like snow. It has the same snow aesthetic as like the roofs of buildings and cars and all that stuff. So it really encapsulates the look and style of snow, you know, snow piles. And then I figured, okay, well, we got the piles, and that's great. And that's really adding to the realism here already, like looking around the build. But you know what we need to add? We need a snow plow doing, you know, snow plow related activities, right? So I figure, okay, we got to get a plow around here, and I want to make sure it's in a spot where cars aren't going to like drive through it, or it's like, you know, not going to glitch out there. So that seemed perfect. And then I figured, let's get the piles and apply them to the streets as well. Now this is kind of like tedious and time consuming, but it's worth it for the aesthetic. Like the way that it ends up looking here, this is something that we've done it in one area. We're going to have to do it in multiple areas, but it's not a thing where it's like, I don't know. To me, this seems like it's worth the time that it takes because of the end result, especially here. So we sink it way low down. We're at minus 1.1, and we're going to use this as trim along the sidewalks here. And already look at that. Look at how good that is looking on these roads. Like how, oh man. And damn, that snow is blowing sideways. We're in a blizzard right now. My God. My God, it's windy. The classic windy Rockies, you know? But like, that is trim is really, really selling this whole look. Man, it's coming together beautifully. So let's go ahead and add some more piles to our main street. Well, that was quick. Now that the piles have added, here's my next trick for making this a winterified city. So I've gone ahead and used this little white surface, and again, you can let me know how you feel about it in the comments below, but this is meant to give that sort of snowed over winter look to the roads. Again, this is kind of time consuming, but it's absolutely worth it in my opinion. And this is something where, like, I'm showing you guys how I made it now. I probably don't need to include the footage in every single video showing you the steps. Now that you've seen it, it would get very repetitive. But yeah, I'm just curious if anybody else likes this. If it's, I guess I'll find out if you guys enjoy it or like it or not. But I think it looks really good. And the more time that I've sat with it to like look at it from above, damn, I was really struggling with the, the little node there of this surface, eh? But the more time that like get the little glimpses of it from above, especially once we fill it all the way out here, I think we got to do this every single road. I'm going to be honest. I think we have to do this to every single road because it looks so dang good. Like, it's just too, I don't know, it adds that sort of touch to because the roads just look too clean, man. Even with the decals that I'm using in a winter series like this, it just looks too dang clean, you know? So doing something like this can just make the roads feel more, I don't know, like, look at that, more covered in snow to me. I don't know, I think it looks good. Maybe y'all will let me know that, no, it's kind of silly. But I don't know, I think it looks really good and adds a nice touch to the streets there as well. So now that we've added that surface there, we need to detail up the final back alley for this episode. And we're going to start by adding in some beautiful, beautiful surface parking there for the back lots. I don't know if this would probably be like staff parking, I guess would be my assumption for it. In the back area there. Nothing too crazy. And then we're going to detail up the alleyway here with another decal that I really like this time. Oh, it's also called road texture. Nice. Add a couple more decals for the parking spot there to blend it a little bit. Let's add some more snow piles, some decals, get this alleyway done. And I'll meet you all in the live play showcase. So welcome to the live play portion of the video, and here we are on the beautiful main street, and man, is it looking good with the snow falling. And I think we've done a good job at being able to sort of figure out how we can make this feel a bit better, more realistic for winter. Because I will say, I saw a lot of people comment this when the game came out, and there were seasons in it, that the winter in City Skylines 1 is a lot better. And I gotta say, I didn't agree at first, because I really like the visual effects of the snowflakes. And like the snow on the roof looks cool. But yeah, definitely snowfall in Cities 1 is much better. But I think we did a good job. And like this I don't know, it's feeling really good. I really like the piles that we're able to create here. And then, yeah, some questions. Do we like the awnings? Do we not like the awnings? And I'd love to hear some road name suggestions as well. And do we like, the more I look at it, like compared to, so here's a normal road, right? Normal vanilla, we haven't detailed this. And here is the winterified road, just using that white texture. And honestly, I think it makes a huge, huge difference. Yeah, I think even looking here, I think I just make the call to use that surface because that looks really, really, really good. But yeah, let's fly around. Let's show off the city. So here is the main street, and like look at how beautiful that's going to be when that's all built up. So you drive up the city here, you just get hit with that beautiful mountainscape. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, that feels a lot like, is it Canmore, I think, has a view just like this? That looks really cool. And then having like the historical fire station here, which is awesome. The Heath Pub, which I think also has a cool, isn't it written? Oh, maybe I hit it there. I thought at one point they had it written on the wall. I think if it's like level 5 or something like that, or whatever the highest level of it is. But yeah, this looks great. And these mini parks from the latest patch are so cool. Like these are just instantly, I can place it, boom, it's detailed. It's making time so much faster when it comes to like detailing it. And then we've got the little motel here on the side as well with the cops up to no good, eh? Harassing the homeless guy over here, eh? Classic. And then this little home, like these UK homes, just, oh man, they look so good. Like, this looks awesome right there. Look at that, eh? That is just so, I don't know, just like fits the vibe too. Oh, and I'm really glad we decided to, I wish I would have done it when I was building it, but this looks so much better going with the winterified versions from the tree controller mod. And look at the hills. Oh man, the hills is the backdrop. Damn, this is awesome. Crazy, this like just random map is just kind of perfect for what I wanted to do. Dang, these views are crazy. This is so much fun. And then, of course, adding the snowplows in, which I haven't seen them yet. I'm importing city services, but I think that I have to go ahead and place the road depot building myself. I don't know if it imports that. We'll see. And then that cool addition from the update, hey, where the vehicles like wait here before being dispatched, and you can see them now, like the parked vehicles. Dude, that's so sick. The game is getting so good, man. So good. Yeah, this is so cool. And then we got the creators row here. This is a lot of fun to put together, all the fun hidden names. And there's probably a bunch of people that I missed because I could only fit so many before I was like, I don't know. I just feel like I feel like the police would have cracked down on this area by now. Like, because I imagine that the taxi owner is not a, the owner of this taxi depot is not a big fan of what's happening there. She's just like, dude, leave me alone, And then the empty lot, which I think turned out really well. Not a lot of vehicles park in there. I mean, our population's super low. It does function because a guy parked their motorbike. Damn, mad respect for riding your motorbike in the winter. Hell yeah. Go get it, dude. Hell yeah. Oh, and a nice little old Vancouver Sun. Is that... Yeah, we'll call that... It's the Sun. The Vancouver Sun, yeah? Nice. That's good. Glad to see that that's still around here in Alberta. That's awesome. And then nice autosave. Good. And then I noticed with some of these parks, too, the people wait in odd spots. So we got this dude here. Yeah, they're just chilling. You know what I mean? They're just, like, hanging out, checking out the wall. Good. That's good. I like that. That's great. And then we got some of the Moose decals, which, again, huge shout-out to Booty Addicts. Those are just so... That's sick, man. That's so tight. I really can't wait. And I can't wait to get the pack that Dome is... that Broman is helping me create the Canadian storefronts pack and road signage. That's going to make this whole series come to life. What else do we have to show off here? I mean, there's the cool Main Street. Our awesome little brick texture here, which worked out really well. I just wish I could make it look more icy and snowy. Like, that was the cool thing about Snowfall in Cities 1, is that all the surfaces looked snowed on and icy. I guess it's like it really, really added to it. But I think the little touches that we've done here help a lot. The piles and then like showing the vehicles in the back, like detailing that. I think that helps a lot there. But yeah, this is it. This is the... Oh, let's show off the church. Almost forgot about the church. Yeah. So there's a super cool... I'm sure maybe some people might be commenting, like, why didn't you use the church from the UK pack? And that's a great church, and I'm going to be honest, we probably will use that church. I just wanted something that's more like suburban-y, like a downtown church, you know what I mean? Like something that's just not... I don't know. So when I saw Raptorman put this together, I knew I had to pay homage, and so this is... I don't know that Raptorman is a religious person, but this is the Church of Raptorman NZ, the Church of small town city builders here. So huge shout out to him. When I saw that build, I was like, oh, we got to add that to the city. That is so good. So this is property of Raptorman, and just simple detailing, nothing too crazy, because the snow does most of the work for you, which is kind of cool. It makes it a lot easier detailing in winter. Is that the snow takes care of it for you, because like we don't really need to add surfaces except like the base of a tree, right? think that looks really good, but I don't really need to go too crazy with it or anything here. And then eventually, it didn't show this off too much because we just placed it. Like, we haven't detailed this up. This will become something eventually. I want to do my own parking lot and own thing there. And then this is going to be an abandoned lot. Like, maybe, I don't know. I just saw these decals. I was like, damn, I want to use those. But I'm also thinking we need like a plaza. Like, so we need a city hall and we need like a main sort of park. So maybe this could be the main park, but that's a huge block. I mean, it's doable though. It's like the main park. It's near the school as well. But yeah, something like that. We need to figure out a main street and then a main sort of lot as well, which we'll do on next episode. Next episode, the goal is to get the city hall up, and then yeah, figure out. Let's do some detailing around here. Get some homes around the station, which I don't think the train station. I know that there's one in Banff that does passenger rail, and there's the Rocky Mountain Express that rips through the Rocky Mountains. But I don't know. I don't know how inherently realistic this is for like a small town in the Rockies, but it's like we had to have this. Like, this is so good, such an awesome building for it, and it looks so good in the snow here in the winter. Yeah, I think that's awesome. And then seeing the trains rock through here, like over this bridge. I just wish I could make this like an old rail truss bridge style, but it's good enough that like that's a sick view. You know what I mean? That is such a cool view. Damn, like that looks awesome. Yeah, this whole map, just like as soon as I saw this map, I was like, all right, you can have this based on whatever you want, like to the map creator, but this is this is exactly what I needed. Because they give this like really cool interchange. So I didn't want to touch this at all. I was like, this is awesome. Like, this is an awesome way to start a map. So I don't want to touch their creation. Like, this looks really good, so we'll keep that. And then yeah, we'll eventually detail this. Oh, like look at this. Look at this little train ripping through here. Super European, not North American at all. Man, I wish there was a mod where I could control the vehicles that spawn. I just want the 100 freight cargo train only, nothing else. And then like maybe a small passenger train that looks like Via Rail. But eventually, like even from here, just like looking at this, right? The freight coming through. And then you got the small town off in the distance, and we're nestled in the mountains. The highways behind you, like this just, oh man. That's so good. Yeah, this is sick. Yeah, I think that's everything that I had to show you for the live play city showcase portion of this video. Yeah, welcome to the soon-to-be named series, currently named Moose Peaks, but I was thinking about it, I was like, man, we can totally come up with something better. Like, we can collectively together decide on something that's maybe more historic or pays homage to the land in which it exists. So look forward to hearing from all of you on that. Yeah, here it is, this gorgeous, beautiful main street. I'm Canadian Moose. That's all I got for you. If you liked the video, like always helps out the channel a lot. Subscribe if you want to see more content. If not, just you being here, spending time with me today to check out this episode really means a lot. Yeah, let's hop into the outro cinematics.
I've got a strange one here. I'm not sure what to make of it.